Well, right. So what I want to talk about today, what I want to talk about in general, and I think it just kind of, I don't know, it exists for each of us, is how to feel like you're okay no matter what happens. We spend a lot of time insuring ourselves, not necessarily buying an insurance plan, although that seems to be something we do as well, and are even forced to sometimes. But I mean, how you live your life and how do you ensure your own well-being? How do you make sure that you're going to be okay in 5 years, you're going to be okay in 10 years, that you're going to be okay when you retire and you're old? Is that part of what informs having kids? Is that what informs your partner choice, where you live, where you allow yourself to grow old, and also how you allow yourself to grow old? A lot of people will sell you on religion and faith. And one of the things that I've really gotten to take with me from every place I've gotten to live, those of you who've watched some of these videos already know I've moved, I'm 40 now, and I've moved 45 times. I've lived in 4 countries, I've lived on 2 continents, I've lived in 6 states in the US, and I've gotten to meet a lot of really interesting people, a lot of fascinating people, people who live entirely in accordance with their own heart and their own harmony and how they just want to be. And then people who seek conformity and seek hierarchies and seek systems, and how do you move up and how do you create some sort of height between you and other people, this sort of need for credentialism. Credentialism is another way that a lot of people try to insure themselves against the future. I found that a lot of us will say that those who can't do teach. Yeah, and those who can't do use credentials in schools to get themselves into places that you would have to have merit to get to. There is an entire world of legacy systems, alumni systems, people who use basically an institution to speak for them. I went to this place and I have this degree, therefore I am certified, even though you might be completely incompetent. Or somebody who never even finished high school and they're far more competent than you are. These are ways that we insure ourselves against failure, solitude, loneliness, poverty, all of these sort of different ways of being. But the thing that I actually I've come to here at this juncture in my life as a sort of point of total freedom, something that just completely detaches me from my own pride and ego and attachment to things even. And I haven't mastered these things, but they're things that allow me freedom from those things. I'm not better than anybody or more capable. I've just moved so much and met so many different parts of humanity and ways of living that the thing I find is the most liberating, the thing that gives you just the most freedom, almost like, you ever met somebody totally glazed over by their religion? Doesn't matter, excuse me, what faith it is. It's just that all they see is God in all things, and they're just blissfully happy all the time, right? And when you're younger, it seems like, oh, this person's lost their mind, they're an idiot. And when you get older, you realize, oh, that that must be kind of nice, just kind of thinking everything's cool and going into your day thinking that everything's just kind of going to be the best. And if it isn't, then there's a higher purpose to it, right? That's like a safety almost. That, again, is an insurance against all the awful things that could happen. But you can actually get that without having to participate in an organized religion, without having to submit to a hierarchy or to some man-made deity. And the way to do it is, it's tough at first because you really have to struggle with your own ego and your own pride. You do. But it will set you free, man. It'll set you free. And here's what it is. Every single thing that you believe, truly, to your the very core of who you are, every single belief and all of the things that you know to be probably some version of fact, there is a counter argument to those things that will disprove them so completely, you don't have a counter argument to that argument. So nothing you believe really ultimately matters all that much. And that can sound discouraging, and it can feel like, well, then nothing really matters. And you're on to the meat and potatoes of this. Yeah, nothing really matters, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't have value. It just means it doesn't hold any matter over you. It doesn't determine anything for you. So if you think that, whatever your ideology is, right? If you think the most important thing in the entire world is to save this one piece of land in this one part of a country, then there is literally somebody in this world who has an argument for why that is the exact wrong thing to do. That doesn't mean you shouldn't go save it, but it should mean that you shouldn't attach any part of yourself to it. Go save it. Clear out the place of toxic air, toxic water, toxic dirt. Get the beavers in there. Make sure the water filter is right, and whoop-de-doo, here we go. 20 years later, we've got a bunch of trees again. Awesome. Not saying you shouldn't do that. But you have to maintain an open mind and understand that if somebody comes along and says, well, actually, we shouldn't do that because over time, what reads as toxic comes together through the dirt, the earth, and the water, and it actually teaches one another to, I don't know, cultivate some sort of bacteria that then evens out the water, and now that spreads from this riverbed to a delta and on into the ocean, and you just prevented that because you have a short-term perspective on something that makes you feel good. That is literally how you can abdicate yourself from this kind of thing. Just for the sake of people who think that I'm pitching this in one way or another, I'm not. If you think that the way forward is your child has to say the 10 Commandments in school every single day, and the only way forward is to invest as harshly as you can in capitalism, then there is somebody in this world who has a counter argument to why that should not be the case, and that argument is just as good, if not better, than whatever you can come up with. And ultimately, if you really do this, you will be confronted by your own emotion all the time, until the day you've successfully done it and that emotion dissipates, or at least isn't so bad that you can't defeat it. So everything you know, everything you believe, every steel man argument you make, right? There's the straw man argument, which is the thing that breaks easily. And then there's the steel man argument, which is the strongest argument for something, and it doesn't break easily. That steel man will be met at some juncture by a steel man from someone else that's even more potent, and then you don't have an argument anymore. So just like in the brutality of the feudal age, there is somebody who's bigger and stronger and better armor than you, so they will defeat you. In this same marketplace, this medieval marketplace of ideas, there is an idea that will defeat that. That doesn't mean you shouldn't cultivate ideas. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have principles and value systems and understand the function of society and compromise. It just means that you don't ever live a life where this thing cannot be undone. This cannot be not true. Because if you've done that, then you've joined a group of people who define themselves by excluding others. That's a cult. You've defined yourselves by saying that these are things we don't do, as opposed to we do argue for ourselves, right? Being pro something is a group. Being anti something is a cult. You go to the pro-peace rally. You don't go to the anti-war rally, right? You go to the pro-equality rally. You don't go to the anti-racism rally, because being anti is not something the universe understands. So you're actually just saying war and racism. In this exact same way, you have to understand that anything you ascribe to in your lifetime is just a product of the gestation of the human lives that happen during that exact same period. And your life is not that important, just like any one other person's life is not that important. And that actually sets you free. It liberates you completely. It doesn't mean you're going to go off and be a maniac and do something psychotic. It means that you can laugh at yourself every single day, because nothing's all that serious. Nothing's all that important. Truly, nothing is all that important. Truly, 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 and completely and wholly. There are people like, I've talked about him before, but Littlefoot, who wakes up to his dying mother with a faint memory of how to get to safety, and then has to go through hell, T-Rex, freaked out adults, Mount Doom, just to get to some green. There's a human iteration of that. And they can laugh at themselves. Consider the fact that tragedy and comedy go hand in hand. Most people who are brilliant comedians have unbelievably tragic lives, because at some point in time you have to learn to laugh, because, and if you talk to somebody who's been properly traumatized, they will tell you it's the only thing you can do. So just understand that no matter how much you believe something, there's somebody in this world who knows something that you do not know, and they can disprove everything you believe. So it's not worth getting into a fight over. It's not worth forfeiting a relationship over. The behavior that somebody commits to you might be enough reason. But disproving you, making you wrong, sitting at the Thanksgiving table and being told that, no, things you believe are stupid because you got fooled by social media, mainstream media, both of them, or a bunch of your friends who aren't really sure about anything either, because you're all operating on best guess, because guess what? That's really all there is. It's best guess until something is proven. And never forget, 85% of all scientific discoveries have not been able to be replicated. There is a replication crisis in science itself. So nothing really ultimately matters all that much. Your family, how you treat people, and the way you allow yourself to feel when other people bring you down. Those things matter. Because that's you taking care of you and the people around you, and they will do that for you in turn. And that creates a society, a home, a sense of being, and a human family. And that, unless the aliens show up with something really nifty soon, there is actually no counter-argument to. Thanks for listening to me yap, bumble along, talk to you about what I think. But hopefully this allows you to set yourself free without the need to subscribe to a religion or anything else. If you want to do that, that's awesome. You find faith in that, go do it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but you don't have to. You could just believe in yourself and know that you are enough, because you have just as many silly and good opinions and beliefs and facts as anybody else. And that makes you equal. Love you guys. Be well.